Well, I'm very happy to have Jamie here from the Maui Humane Society. Jamie Fitzpatrick used to be in charge of operations, and now you got a promotion. I think, yes.
Yeah.
Now you're gone up to director.
Chief Operating Officer
Chief
is my
Operating
new
Officer.
role, so I get to help oversee operations across all areas of our shelter right now, which is really great.
It is really great, and congratulations, you sold out the fur ball.
We did, yeah, just sold out this week. It's going to be an amazing event.
I mean, that is, to me, that says something, because you know what? My gosh, to sell out an event that's coming up mid-September is mind-blowing. That shows all the support you've really got there.
Yeah, and especially for an event of over 400 people. I mean, that's really incredible, and we've sold out every year. So kudos to our development team for putting on an amazing event and a great party. And so we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, I know, it's fantastic. But you've got some big events that we wanted to talk about that's coming up. And this is a special show we're starting, actually, because it's going to be happening once a month to kind of really just focus on the Maui Humane Society. So let's see, I'm coming up with a name for your show right now. Let's call this the Maui Humane Society Show. How about that?
That sounds perfect. That sounds perfect.
So this is now the Maui Humane Society Show, and we're going to be featuring once a month what's going on, because there is so much going on so many levels with the Maui Humane Society. And the Clear the Shelter is one of the events that's coming up, right?
Yeah, this is a national event that is coming up this month, and shelters and adoption agencies all across the entire country participate. Mm-hmm. So we are very thankful to be able to join in on that as well. And so it's actually going to be coming up on August 17th. And our shelter will be recognizing that and doing a lot of adoptions.
So you've done this before, though. I remember you've had Clear the Shelters.
We have. Last year at our Clear the Shelter event, we found homes for 81 animals in one day. It was incredible, and we were fortunate enough to have some folks step up and to be able to sponsor those adoption fees for folks last year, and that last year blew the year before out of the water. In 2017, we did 42 adoptions on that day, and to almost double it to 81
is amazing.
It's incredible. So we have an ambitious goal this year. Our goal is to adopt out 100 animals in one day, and I think we can do it. And again, we've been really fortunate for the support in our community. We've had a supporter step forward to sponsor all of those adoptions that we plan to do on the 17th.
So the 17th is what day of the week?
It is a Saturday.
Okay, so that's good.
Yes.
Because people have the whole day. And you start at what time in the morning?
We start as soon as the shelter opens, which is 11 a.m., and we'll be going all day long until we close at 6 p.m.
So, gosh, if you do the math, that's a lot of dogs. And this is just dogs, or is it dogs?
All of our animals. Dogs, cats, rabbits, guinea pigs, turtles, any animal who's in the shelter and up for adoption. It's a waived adoption fee that day, working on getting over 100 animals home.
You got to bring in a lot of extra staff to do that.
Staff and volunteers especially. We have a lot of volunteers who come in specifically for this event to help us do meet and greets to introduce visitors to the animals and help them play matchmaker so they can find the right one to bring into their home.
Do you find, because you've been there, 6 years?
Yeah, 6 years now.
Do you find that the animals pick their owners?
I think so, personally. I know mine have certainly picked me. And so seeing especially in our cat building, especially for anyone who hasn't been to the shelter in a while, I'd encourage you to come and see what it's like, even aside from the Clear the Shelter event. Just come on by sometime. What a lot of people don't know is, we have big communal rooms for our cats, and most of our adoptable cats get to roam about inside, outside in these areas, and members of the public, visitors, just get to go in the rooms and hang out with the cats. And so the cats certainly choose their people.
It's unfortunate, but a lot of people who want pets here on Maui are in homes or apartments or condos where they can't have animals. So I know you allow people to come down and just kind of be with us, kids as well.
Absolutely.
To be with the pets, because pets are so good for you. They're really good for your state of mind, your health. They actually have done proof in studies that it actually helps your blood pressure and your state of mind, and makes a lot of people happy. They've even found this with people are close to dying in hospice, etc., that you can bring pets in, and they do magical work. But to be able to do that at the level you do it is quite a gift. And I was listening. We have a travel show we do with the Frommers, and there was a guest on the Frommer show last week talking, and she's a writer, I think, for the New York Times, but she did an article about vacations and going out with the pets. And this particular one, they kind of focused on going down to Jamaica, and there's a center there where you can walk with the dogs, and there's like 140 dogs taken for a walk. And then Pauline Frommer asked, well, are there other places that do this? And she said, yes, there's a place in Hawaii, a couple places in Hawaii, and you can go there and have a dog for the day, etc. And I mean, of course, immediately I thought of you, because this is one of the great things you do offer is for people, not just visiting, but for people who can't, because of their living circumstances, have a dog. And you let them come and take the dogs out for a walk or take them to the beach. You give them everything they need to get set up, right?
Yeah, our Beach Buddies program is incredible. We started it a few years back. We modeled it off of Kauai Humane Society's program like this. And so visitors and residents alike can, just as you say, they can, check a dog out for the day. We have folks sign up in advance on our website, and as you might imagine, it's a very popular program.
I've heard that it's really taken off.
Very popular. We don't even really advertise it or anything. People just know, and they sign up, and these dogs get to go out and have great adventures, we call it Beach Buddies, but people don't just go to the beach, although many of them do. They might go up to Makawao Forest, take a hike. They might go out to a restaurant and have some lunch. Just anything to get the dog out for the day. And, what's really incredible for us is that it gives the dogs a break from the shelter. Our staff and volunteers are incredible, and they do an amazing job enriching the lives of the dogs and all the animals in our shelter. But a shelter's not a home, That's not where we want the animals to stay. And so getting that break and getting to get out of the shelter and decompress from that is really a huge benefit to the dogs. And even better than that, about 2/3 of the dogs who come into our shelter are strays. And so we don't know their stories. We don't know their histories. We don't know what they like and what they don't like. And they can't tell us. So our Beach Buddies programs helps tell us about these dogs. And so when the folks come back after their outing with the dog, they fill out a little report card and let us know what they did and what the dog liked. And these are all things that help this dog bond with a new family and help the new family narrow down, they want a dog who loves to swim, or they want a dog who really is lazy. And so it just helps us find new homes for them too.
Do you find that some of the people who visit fall in love with their beach buddies so much that they actually take them home?
It is totally true. It doesn't happen as often as you might think, but it definitely does happen. And I just had an example last week of this incredible email that I got out of the blue years later. So a woman from the mainland came out to Maui over 2 years ago. I think it was 2 years ago, February. And she came and did our Beach Buddies program. And she ended up taking out a dog named Tasha. I later adopted Tasha. And so, she had come out, taken Tasha to the Beach Buddies program, and then had corresponded with us via email over the next few months. How's Tasha? What's going on? And then I got to give her the good news that I'd adopted her, and we all went on our merry ways and working on living happily ever after. And then last week, she sent me an email out of the blue that she's going to be back on Maui in a few months, and was wondering how Tasha's doing. And, Tasha's an old girl. She's a senior. And so she was asking, how is she? Is she all right? And I got to respond back, Tasha's great. She's doing wonderfully. She still comes to work with me almost every day. And she would love to visit, when this woman comes back to Maui and everything. And what really got me about her email is that she said that she had such an incredible time on the Beach Buddies program and just bonded with this dog so much. She still has the picture of her and Tasha on her phone, and she looks at it every day. And she sent me the photo, and there they are, at the beach having a good old time.
And she's going to come to visit.
And she's going to come and visit. So, these dogs make an impact on people that last.
Amazing. What kind of dog is Tasha?
Oh, she's a cute little short, squat poi dog. Just a darling darling little red senior girl.
Does this happen where people like you fall in love with animals and end up taking them home? It must be hard.
It sure does. I think that on the one hand, we're both really lucky as folks who work in shelters, because we get kind of first eyes on these animals, and, the ones who grab our hearts, we're able to, bring into our families, and they're enriching our lives as much as they would enrich the lives of others in our community.
It's such a loving way to show that. And I think people really have found that out, and that's why they like to volunteer. I know I have friends that go out and take dogs on walks there, and do this because they can't have a dog where they are, and they just fall in love with them and want to give back in some ways. So you, as Chief Operating Officer now, what's your job description? What are you in charge of doing now?
So, my previous job as Director of Operations, I really focused on overseeing the operations of the shelter. So all of our public-facing programs, like our customer service team, dog licensing, our animal care team, and the care and enrichment that the animals are getting on property, also our transfer and foster programs. So now, in addition to those things, I oversee all of the other departments at the shelter, including our hardworking humane enforcement team, our incredibly talented and dedicated development team, our facilities team, so all aspects of what it takes to keep the shelter running. I get to support those departments and those operations in a more direct way.
Well, I always become aware of that when I call. If I don't know the right extension,
right.
I go down the list and going, gosh, there's a lot of departments here. It's like, wow. So how many groups and departments do you have that you oversee?
Yeah, we have 7 different departments, everything from finance, if someone's got to pay the bills and make sure that all of the budgets and numbers look good, to our facilities team, who keeps the grass green and keeps our property maintained and safe. Our animal and customer service teams, development team, our officers who are on the road, 24/7, helping protect our community's animals.
It's a big operation.
It is. It really is. And as our organization has grown, and as our life-saving abilities and capacity has grown, our staff has grown with it to be able to support those programs.
Yeah.
The end of June was the end of our fiscal year. So while, it's not quite New Year's for most of the rest of the world, we just celebrated our New Year's with July 1. And so that meant we got to kind of, look back. How did we do this last year? What went on? And we broke some new records for us, and that was really exciting.
You did, as far as actually finding homes for animals. You went. You found a lot of homes this last year.
We did. We adopted out 2,282 animals last year.
Wow.
So almost 2,300 animals found homes through our organization.
Amazing.
Just through adoption. And we also had a record-breaking year in our transfer program, where we're able to help transfer animals to other organizations who can help find them homes.
Like the Wings of Aloha?
Yeah, mainly through our Wings of Aloha program. And last year we transferred out 870 animals.
That's a huge number. My gosh,
Yeah.
A lot of flying dogs.
Yeah, and almost 600 of those are cats.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's incredible.
I always see pictures of the dogs. I didn't know you were flying cats out, too.
Yeah, mainly cats, and about 2/3 cats and 1/3 dogs at this point going out.
Well, I remember when it started, and it really, literally took off. I mean, it was amazing. But it was like, and when it began, it's like, how do you do this? Because it was so much work, and it was expensive, right?
It sure is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely hasn't changed. We've been really fortunate to have grant support to be able to continue funding for this program and have that pick up so that we can keep flying these animals out so that we can continue saving lives.
When you hear the number and the volume, you really do realize it, because there are only X amount of people on the island that can have pets, right?
Right.
And even out of the number of people who can have pets, there's the issue of whether they have time, or whether they live here part-time, or they don't live here full-time, etc. So it expands the chance for these wonderful pets to find a home. And it's kind of grown as more and more people have found out about it. And you do the newsletter, which is great. And people should go to MauiHumaneSociety.org, because it's an excellent newsletter that tells the stories, shows the pictures. And there's some great stories there, people who show, just love their pet they had flown to them. And more people have heard stories, so it's continuing to grow.
Yeah, one of my favorite things is to see those adoption happy endings. And some of those adoptions happen at our shelter, and some happen at our transfer partners' shelters when we send animals to them, and they get to go help complete families there. And I love Fridays, not because it's the end of the week. love my job and I want to be helping animals all the time. But Fridays, our e-newsletter comes out. It's our email newsletter that goes out every Friday. And in every week, there is always a happy ending story about an animal who has helped enrich someone's life and an animal who has gotten to be saved and gone on to great, wonderful things. And so I highly recommend anyone, if you go to our website, MauiHumaneSociety.org, right there on the website on the right-hand column, there's a little spot you can sign up for the e-newsletter. And every Friday, you will just have something in your email inbox that just warms your heart and brightens your day.
I remember when you did the first Maui Humane Society calendar.
Oh, yes.
And it was like, oh, this is a good idea. Well, that's continued to grow. Did you get your entries in this year?
We did. It was incredible. Folks really love the calendar, and it gets a little cutthroat there at the end when folks are helping make sure that their animals make the cut and make it into the calendar.
Well, I was hearing stories about Nancy Willis and her and getting her Lulu, trying to get Lulu in there, but people actually can bid to get their pet in, and they take this very seriously.
They take it very seriously, and it goes down right to that last minute, and those donations fly in to help figure out which of those animals are guaranteed making it in the calendar. But yes, Lulu did make it in the calendar this year,
good.
So Nancy's Lulu is in there, along with some other incredibly adorable animals
and
who
it's
are
closed for the year now.
It is. It just wrapped up recently. So, but pre-sales just started. So folks can check
Already?
that out on our website, so they can get their
Wow.
pre-sales done. And so when the calendars come in a few months, they'll be ready to go for you.
I have one on my wall, and I look at it all the time. It's always really interesting, right? For this month, I mean, it was the horse. Mm-hmm. It was last month. July was.
Yeah.
You know what? I still have the horse on my wall. I like the horse so much, I didn't change it.
I had a hard time changing from the June one. June was the one, you remember, it had the little kitten with the
Yes,
little paper
with a crown
on its
yes.
head. June was the hard one for me to flip over from.
But that horse is so beautiful. It was an Appaloosa looking out into a beautiful sunset. And I love horses, so it was kind of cool to see. You have a wide variety of animals up there, so that's always fun. So one huge thing that has made a big, big difference has been your spay-neuter program.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's been life-changing.
It has, and it's made a big, big difference in our community overall and for the individual animals in our care and the animals in our community. And that was another record we broke last year.
Yeah.
You know, the year before, we were really thrilled and excited because we finally broke 6,000 surgeries in a year.
That's huge.
It was amazing. And so a year ago, we were at our all-staff meeting, and we were celebrating the fact that we had done more than 6,000 spays and neuters in a year. And because the years before that, we had been around 5,000, which is huge. I mean, that's still big, but to break 6,000 was incredible. And we looked at each other, we're like, what do we do next? What's our next goal? And we're like, well, let's try 7,000. And you know what? We did it. We didn't just do 7,000. We did 7,494 spays and neuters last year.
Well, you started, I remember when it began, and you had this team of veterinarians come in, and you were doing these the MASH clinics. The MASH clinics. Those MASH clinics were, mind-blowing, and everyone wanted to get in on it, but it always sell out. So then you decided to take the bull by the horns and actually create an in-house program, which was that was a turning point, right?
Yeah, we had an in-house program, but it was limited just based on space. You know, there's only so many animals and doctors you can fit in a certain amount of square footage. So we were really fortunate. A few years ago, we were supported by PetSmart Charities, and they gave us some funding to expand our surgery clinic so we could offer higher volume every day at our clinic. And that's, what has certainly made the difference for us to be able to reach this volume and help this many animals coming through our program.
So how does the program work for people? Because this is really, folks, the key, because we love good, happy endings. We love these great stories. But the reality is there's a whole bunch of these cats and kitties and dogs that still have not been spayed or neutered, and they're out there. A lot of them are feral, but a lot of them out there. And some have owners that think, oh, why should I do it with or I have a pet that's a well-bred pet. But the reality is a lot of these pets are out there, and there's a whole bunch of cats and dogs without homes. And the only way to control it and get it under control is to spay and neuter.
That's true. Yeah, spay and neuter is the answer. It is the way that we're going to make a difference in our community. And it already has, but we're not there yet. There's always more that we want to do to improve that. So, beating our goal of getting 7,000 spay neuters done this last year was a huge part of it. And this year,
it's making a difference. You can see it in the numbers.
It is definitely making a difference. We're seeing, we're seeing an impact on the animals in our community, which is great. So, again, we're able to do this because of the support we receive. We are able to offer free or low-cost surgeries to anyone in our community who would like to use those services for spay-neuter. So folks,
and you have special times where people can come and get the spay-neuter and have a microchip put in the ear, and which is really huge as well, because that's really, you've found a lot of animals that have that microchip and have been able to track down the owners that way. So that's great. And you do that, those are at certain times of the year you do that, right?
We've actually been able to expand so that every day, every week, we are able to, it is weekdays right now. We don't have a weekend option yet. Maybe someday that'll happen. But right now, Monday through Friday, we're offering surgeries to the public, and it's incredibly low cost, and that's been thanks to the support of some of our grantors, like Maui County, Petco, PetSmart Charities, the Duffield Foundation. Lots of these different agencies have supported our community to be able to allow us to offer, if someone has a dog that they'd like to get fixed, it's only $20.
My gosh, and that would, if
and
they
that
went to
includes
the
the
vet,
microchip.
If they were going to go to a vet, that could cost $200 or over $300.
Yeah, seriously over that. Yeah. And it includes that microchip as well. It's like you said, my pets can't tell us where they live if they happen to go missing. So those microchips literally save lives and make differences. And, when our officers drive around, and they have microchip scanners in their trucks. And so if they find a stray, they can scan them.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they can scan them for a microchip, look it up in their
iPads
out in the
field.
field.
They can.
Yeah. That's our favorite.
That. That's amazing.
Yeah, they can help get animals home right from their trucks if that animal has a microchip.
That microchip.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's great. So yeah, just $20 to get a dog spayed or neutered at our clinic. A pet cat is just $10.
Wow.
And any feral or community cat, it's free. It's free. It doesn't cost anything to get that cat fixed, and that includes that it's spayed, neutered, microchipped, and it gets that little ear tip so that folks know that it's been fixed already.
And that's important, because there's a lot of people that have these feral cats running around, and you don't know if they've been spayed or neutered, so they have to catch them and bring them in. Sometimes they've been fixed, sometimes they haven't been fixed. So that helps. If you see that little ear tip off, then you know that they have been spayed or neutered.
Yeah, that cat's been fixed, it's having its needs met, and it's good right where it is.
And there are some people out there who are taking care of these feral cat communities. And it's sad always to see, because feral cats don't have the long lives. There are a few kind souls that go out there and feed them, but it's hard for these cats, between the heat and the rains we get or whatever. It's a hard life out there.
It's certainly, not what we would want for pet ownership in the community, but our biggest way to combat that is to help stabilize and then decrease that population through spay neuter. And so
absolutely
that's why
true.
We love. And it was interesting this last year, of those over 7,000 surgeries we did. Many more were cats than dogs, of course, because we see many more cats in our community. But of the cats that came in, about half were those feral or community cats.
Yeah.
So,
that is important work.
It's super important. And, everybody helps us with that. And we loan out those the humane cat traps for free, that folks can borrow the traps and bring the kitties in for surgery. And we try to make it accessible and easy to help get done.
Well, again, if you're just tuning in, we have about 5 minutes left, but we're talking to Jamie, and Jamie is the Chief Operating Officer at the Maui Humane Society, and we want to remind people it's mauihumanesociety.org, but you can always call. I have the number memorized, 877-3680.
Very nice.
But the problem is knowing the extension.
So here's my cheat sheet. Here's what I always do. Option 3. Option 3 gets you to our incredible customer service team, and they can direct your call anywhere it might need to go from there.
Because it's a big operation. Yeah.
Yep.
So, and that would be the way you also could book an appointment for spay and neuter.
Our customer service team would be happy to help folks get surgery appointments booked to help get spay neuter done.
So in our last few minutes, what else did you want to cover that we haven't covered yet?
One of the amazing things that we get to do at our shelter is we get to help change pets' lives. We get to help them go on to bigger and better things. And sometimes those animals come to us and they're in rough shape, and they might need some extra help. They might need some extra support that they just haven't gotten in their lives up until now. And so that's where our Hope Fund comes in. And so the Hope Fund is a donor-sponsored fund, and members of the community donate to that. And help us generate the funds to be able to provide these services to these animals, whether that is, an animal who comes in with a horrible mouth, awful teeth, really, needs a dental or extractions, and to be able to live a comfortable life.
And it can be expensive, yeah.
Very expensive. And so, we can help get those animals on the right foot. We just had a dog the other week. Sophie just came in, and she was featured in our e-newsletter this last week. Sophie came in with a leg that was broken in two places. There was a spiral fracture and another fracture. And so that leg was...
by a car or something.
Maybe. Yeah. It's entirely possible. And that leg was beyond saving, but we were able to give her a good life by getting that amputation done for her. And now she's, bouncing around and working on getting recuperated so she can get adopted and go into a new home.
Oh, and there are people who are kind-hearted and do the senior program.
Oh, yes.
Which really is so sweet. They get these dogs who are, 8 years it's considered or up?
We call it 7 and up, but kind of depends, yeah.
And you have special discount rates for dogs that are seniors.
We do, yeah. Any of our cats or dogs, their adoption rates are half or less of what the adult adoption rate. So for a senior dog, it's just $55 to adopt, and that includes all the normal things. They're fixed, microchipped, all of those good things. You get a free vet exam at the local vet of your choice. And our senior cats is just $10 to adopt. And, most of these animals, since they're seniors, they've probably had extra work done already, blood work, maybe a dental, things like that going on.
And they're well trained already, and so I heard when I was talking with Jennifer Willis, Nancy Willis.
Yeah.
Nancy told me the story of Lulu and how when she found Lulu, they didn't think that she'd live like another year, maybe a year or two. And she's had her, 4 years now?
That sounds about right. It's been quite a while, yeah.
Yeah. So what happens is getting a dog, and Lulu was already pretty elderly, but when you get a dog and give it love, or you get a cat and give it love, magical things happen.
Yeah.
And that bond and that love can change, as you just did in that one day that you had the person find their beach buddy with your dog. I mean, even a day of spending that love, whether it's visiting for a day or taking a dog or pet out for a day, or just going down and spending, as kids do, a day with the animals. It's amazing that connection that you do make, and we need that kind of connection in our life. And so many people are grateful that you're doing the work that you're doing there, because it's making a huge, huge, huge difference in the community. And it's not easy. It's hard work. I mean, one of the miracles that happened in the last minute or so we have here, I want to mention it again about the fire.
Oh, yes.
I mean, it was miraculous that all of those pets could be evacuated within, 3 hours?
Less than an hour.
Less than
an hour. I mean, we had started to do a little preparation in advance just in case it came to that. But once we got the word to evacuate, in less than an hour, we had over about 245 animals and all of our staff and volunteers out of our property.
And then everyone came down and brought them and new food. And of course, it was not just one night. You had to spend time there at the Maui High School.
We were out for 2 days, 2 nights. Yeah. Our community is incredible. The amount of support that we received was beyond any expectation that we had. And, of course, we are eternally grateful to Maui Fire Department. They are the one and only reason we still have a shelter.
That. They put a site up there. They got their
incredible
firefighters determined to save the Humane Society. Yeah. They had their water tankers in front there.
Yeah.
And it came right up to the very back of those containers, right?
Singed our containers. Yeah.
And yet it survived, and you know what? It was just such a gift that Oprah decided to help out and come down, and then on top of it, to make it even more miraculous, recognized you and gave a donation. It was one of those moments, right? It was one of those. Were you there that day?
Oh, yes.
You were there.
Yeah, it was...
Because I know Nancy wasn't there. She was home that day.
Yeah, it was, it's just been incredible to see the support from the whole community from start to finish of this whole thing. But it was quite an undertaking, and we just, took a deep breath and said, let's make this happen. And we did, but we couldn't have done it without all the help.
It's been the community realizing how important the work that's being done is.
Yeah.
And you've been there, now 6 years?
6 years now. Mm-hmm.
And now you're Chief Operating Officer.
Yeah.
I mean, what a nice... Because there's things going on, there's new growth and new people, and it's wonderful. And Jamie Fitzpatrick, you do a beautiful job, and you're very well spoken. So thank you so much for coming in and joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.